Jasmine and Chad Faries. What's going on today?
Pretty good so far.
Having a good day so far?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's beautiful outside.
yeah,
We
it
have a
is.
bit of rain here in Marquette.
Mm.
Uh-huh.
It well, it did rain up in Crystal Falls, but then it quit when we came up to Marquette.
So you guys are from the Iron Mountain area. Is that where you grew up?
Iron River.
Iron
Iron
River.
Yeah,
River.
Iron County.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sort of. I grew up there. My mom was a bit of a wanderer. But she'd always end up back in Iron River. So
Sure.
we'd leave, come back, leave, come back, leave, come back.
Yeah, I am originally from Marquette, but I live in Iron River, Michigan.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's where you work on plays. You write
Yes.
you write plays.
hmm
So can you tell me how you got started doing that?
Um, well, when I first got started doing those plays, it's because I wanted to. I don't want to say this, but it was kind of based on 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 my life events that I went through on my head a little bit, and just focusing on the main points of it.
Okay, so you went through some experiences and decided that you were
hmm
going to express that through writing plays.
Yes.
So when did you just pick up a notebook one day, or how did that happen?
Well, I was honestly, it just felt so real to me, and one day I just thought, I just popped my notebook out, and I thought, you know what, this could be my reality, and when I was watching this movie that I got inspired from Lifetime, I guess, but one day I thought, maybe I could do a play that was based on the aspects of it and put it into my life. So that's what it's called, The Double Life.
Uh-huh. So I remember you've always been writing. Like you
Yeah.
would fill up journals, and I was sort of jealous because you're so like prolific, and you still like your room is full of these journals, right? So even
hmm
before you were doing plays, you were already filling up all these journals. And I remember one time, probably about 8 years ago, I said, Jasmine, what are you working on? And you were like, well, I'm working on an opera now. And this was before you were working on plays.
hmm
Do you remember that? And
Yes.
I said, well, what opera are you working on? And do you remember what it was?
Yeah, it was I think it was not a soap opera, but
No, it was.
it was, yeah. It was Days of Our Lives.
That's right. Days of Our Lives, the
Yeah.
opera.
So, okay. Days
Yeah.
of Our Lives plays at the tire shop that I go to. When
Oh,
so when I get my
wow.
tires changed, they play Days of Our Lives.
Oh,
That's pretty
cool.
funny.
Did you spend time as a child like in front of Days of Our Lives like watching?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
input that you received got somehow channeled through you
hmm
and then on the other side of that you write plays.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's based on fundamental principles, things that we all go through. So can you explain to me a little bit more about like the premise that you take? What direction do you take, and what lessons do you kind of focus on?
Wow, that's a really good question. Um, well, the premise of it was the town, and I thought, I could create a town that's way more simple, and then the situations where people have come from with these backgrounds that one of the families were like high class. The other one was other high class, and the other ones were like middle class, kind of like a normal. Um, I don't know how to say
And
this.
based in the UP? Are these towns kind of based in the UP? The
Yeah, some of them they are. Yeah,
local people?
yeah. Local people have like serious problems.
Well, who's your main character in the play,
My
Jazz?
main character is me, Jasmine. My character is Jasmine Carrington.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
it's sort of you, but different, right?
yeah, different.
Because
Yeah,
it's not Jasmine Faries, it's Jasmine Carrington.
yeah.
So you've created this alternate kind of persona.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what is that Jasmine like?
Carrington.
Yeah, Jim Carrington.
How's she different from Jasmine Faries?
Well, she's, oh God, she, she was like a regular girl who had like dreams to becoming a fashion designer, to crave some this rich life that she thought that she was like a little um, a debutante and high class person. But even though she was that, she always stayed true to herself and be like a normal girl. But she wants the high life that she always wanted to have.
So she has special gifts, but
Mm-hmm.
is able to stay true to what she aims to do. What does she aim to
Yeah.
do? Fashion.
Yeah. She, like, like she sees like a piece of, like, say, like for instance, the color, the aspects of an outfit. Say for your carpet, for instance, like light brown, and then and she turns it to something that's way more fashionable, and then she could turn it to like sequins and make it more flair.
So how does this character relate to Jasmine Faries of Iron River?
Wow, that's a really good question. Honestly, actually has the same. Well, I have the same traits, but she likes to party and hang out with friends,
Yeah,
and sometimes she has her family and friends, to help her through the bad
sure.
times, and
So she has some hardship.
yeah.
Who are some of Jasmine Carrington's friends?
Carrington's friends are kind of like my friends, but that totally opposite way.
But who are they? Because I read some of the plays, so maybe
Yeah.
tell the audience like who they are.
Her friends are like Kate Hudson, Meryl Streep.
So big celebrities.
Yeah, big celebrities.
She's
Yeah.
friends with big celebrities.
Yeah.
So her dream is this high life, this fashion,
Mm-hmm.
and this relates to you. What is your dream
Mm.
in this reality?
In this reality, well, my dream in this reality is I always dreamed to become a fashion designer in real life, but that doesn't happen yet. But my real dream is to make a cupcake business.
That's beautiful. What would make your cupcakes better than what's out there right now?
That's the first I heard of that. Sorry for laughing. That sounds fantastic.
Hell yeah,
But I just
Yeah.
that's
like
amazing.
where that
Yeah. Yeah.
Expect the unexpected,
All
Chad.
right.
Yeah.
Expect the
Well,
unexpected.
I got the inspiration from a TV show that I liked called
Okay.
Super Girls, and
Okay.
I thought, if they can do a cupcake business, so can I.
And what do you want to do? What kind of cupcakes?
Um,
Wedding, or do you have a specialty?
Yeah, my favorite is strawberry and vanilla cupcakes and some fillings inside of it, like jelly and stuff like that.
Well, I think that's where they're missing out.
Yeah.
Is the fillings. Most cupcakes are not filled, as far
Mm.
as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
So that sounds pretty amazing.
Yeah, and I'm gonna add my like special ingredient to it, like maybe a little bit of peanut butter, but not too much.
Yes, like
Yeah.
like a Reese's kind of deal.
Yeah,
That'd be good.
So this is the long term dream.
yeah.
And how is writing these plays like getting you there?
Well, it helps me to reach half my goals, and also it helps me, you know, to face tough competitors, and also not be. I have to face some criticism, but I have to deal with it because it's how I relate to the reaction of it without getting mad.
How do you deal with criticism?
Not very well, but I do take it sometimes. It's pretty hard, but I'm learning to self-soothe it.
What kind of things help you deal with it?
Like, I always tell myself that things are gonna be good. Things, like if something reminds me of something, I just go into like a blank, or if I like
If you draw a blank, is that what I mean?
yeah, something like that. Yeah, and then sometimes like a certain song gets me going, and if I get kind of mad, and then which song that I really like comes on, and it helps me to snap out of it, and it helps me stay focused, and to learn that's some of the lyrics in there could help me realize that you have to deal with criticism.
You have to deal with criticism.
Yeah.
And why might you think that other people find the need to criticize what you're doing?
It's just that sometimes they put some things down and turn it into negative, and it's really hard to face up to some people. I think honestly, it's a comparison of that person, like saying, like, for instance, like your brother or your sister or your friends,
Yeah.
your comparisons, and let's say, like, you have to do better than I be more like your sister or your brother or your
Right.
friend.
They're like setting the bar.
Yeah,
They're trying to
up high.
trying to mold you into something that they see,
Yeah.
something that fits in. So do you want to fit in, Jasmine?
Yes, I do want to fit in.
You do want to fit in?
Yes, I do, but not what they want me to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So to make your own path.
Yes.
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
Do you
thanks.
feel like you're doing that so far in your life?
Yeah, with some half with my family, for instance, but I don't want to say their real names, but
Sure.
like saying like a sibling.
Right. Right. So Chad's
How
sitting
many
right here.
siblings?
You guys are brother and sister.
Yes,
I think,
yeah.
Did we cover that? We were
Yeah,
brother
Yeah.
and sister.
maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if we cover that in the pod, but brother and sister here, Chad.
Yeah.
You're a writer as well.
Uh-huh.
So have you influenced some of this, or you're doing your own projects?
As
the
far as I
meantime.
know, I'm just a nuisance.
So
That's the truth.
so you've been told.
Yeah. I don't know, Jasmine, have I influenced you at all with some of the things that I do and how I live my life and the
Yeah.
writings that I do?
Yeah, some ways, yes.
Yeah.
Like you always like do something more accurate, and you have like this what's it called it professor like a material, and it is the way that you control the situation. It's like catastrophic some ways.
Catastrophic.
Wow.
Yeah.
How I control.
Are you trying to say catastrophic control of situations?
That's,
Yeah.
and,
pretty
and
interesting.
that's how I've influenced you.
So
Yeah, because the way that you influence some people and everything, it's just like everything that, see, I read like half of his books, and it's pretty good, and the words and the dynamics of in the book is pretty good.
well written.
Yeah, and I thought, if he can do it, I could do it better.
I
Oh,
see.
gotcha. So you're trying to one-up me.
Well, no,
competitive.
Yeah.
no, not trying to one up you. It's just that it helps me get motivated, so I can have that to be a motivator, so it could help me be a better writer.
Fair
Okay,
enough.
so it motivates you
Yeah.
to be surrounded by,
Yeah.
people who are students to the craft. And,
Yeah.
and very adamant about their writing.
Yeah, and the other side of my family, my aunt my aunt is a huge painter too, and she's artistic as well, and that some of it comes with me as well, because including with the writing and the dynamics of it all, is that I got two parts of like two gifts in one.
So the artistic side and the the creative writing side as well.
Yeah.
And you brought that together into plays.
Yes.
That's incredible.
Mhm.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And Chad, you're writing a book right now? I see that you've
Couple
written
different ones. Yeah. So I'm always working on stuff. My genres are poetry and nonfiction primarily, and so I'm always writing poetry on the side, making notes and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm working on a follow-up to a memoir that I wrote that has to do with the first 10 years of my life. and I say, you know, it has less to do with me and more to do with my mom and my three aunts and my grandmother.
Okay.
So real powerful sort of.
Can you kind of give me a synopsis?
Yeah. So in the first 10 years of my life, I lived in 24 different houses.
Okay.
And mostly because my mom was kind of looking for herself. She was a single mom. She was 17 when I was born. And so she's trying to find her way in the world, searching for geographical change in Florida and Texas, but then back to Iron River, and then Montana back to Iron River. And so the sort of magnetism of, the UP kept bringing her back and bringing her back. And so, and she struggled also with being young, being a single mother, struggled with some addiction issues and so on, as did a lot of people. But the sort of wonder of it all is like how dysfunction functions, and
Yeah.
how there's love regardless, and so
Right.
kind of like an interesting way of looking at, how I don't really like those words very much, but how a quote
No.
unquote dysfunctional family or non-traditional family still works, and they still figure out ways to love and move forward and so on. So it kind of explores all that. And it's a real kind of 70s narrative too, because
Sure.
it starts from day one, from when I came out of the hospital, 71 to 81. And so it has a lot of that 70s color, and
Right,
the perspective of a kid who was the flower child,
Yeah.
and not the parents who were doing all the drugs and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, be honest, okay? Because you want mom to hear this.
I haven't. Well, it's all published
It's all
right
in a
there.
book,
It's
right?
all
Oh,
there.
yeah.
But I treat them all with respect and dignity. I
Sure.
think, even when I'm, like I'm.
So it was the beginning of the hippie era, or your
Well,
parents
it was already
were your
full on
mother.
into it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean that all. Some of that stuff started happening as early as the late 50s with the beat poets and stuff.
Right.
But yeah, it really sort of kicked off in the late 60s and 70s. And so my mom was
Was she kind of like a gypsy traveler?
totally, yeah, burning her bra, right? All
Yeah.
that stuff,
Oh.
like just free-spirited, yeah.
And you were along
completely.
for the ride.
I was along for the ride, yeah. And I was often the only child around because, she was only 16 when I was born, or 17. And so
Were you in California?
wasn't in California. The wildest it got was like probably in Florida, at the hanging out with a bunch of bikers at the Daytona Biker Festival in 1976.
Yeah.
That was a wild time.
Why are you
Yeah.
laughing?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to laugh, but
Are you imagining it all? Because this is so she wasn't
yeah.
around, right?
No,
Right,
no, I
right.
could imagine that every aspect that you just mentioned, the way that you described. But yeah, I know that mom was a free spirit and all, but she wasn't a gypsy. But yeah, I get the point that you're trying to make. So yeah,
Yeah.
half of it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
A free
Yeah, well, she
spirit.
had, by the time you came along,
Yeah.
mom, was always sort of a free spirit and
Well,
real
yeah.
accepting and kind of,
Yeah, not not like what's the word racist or things like that. No, she was very accepting, like you said.
yeah. And so by the time you came along, she was in her 30s.
Yeah.
And so she had probably matured a good bit,
Yeah.
and was a little bit of a different mothering for you than me.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
she was 34 when she had me.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, because she was in school and forgive me, mom, if you're hearing this. I'm sorry, but she was a beauty school dropout.
A beauty
She was-
school dropout.
Yeah,
Yeah?
yeah, she was because
Is that the truth?
yes, that was the yeah, that is the truth. Yes.
Sorry, Mom.
Sort of,
Yeah.
yeah. She wasn't really in beauty school, but I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah,
She did
'cause-
drop out of college. Why did she drop out of college?
Because she was pregnant with me, and there's a lot of chemicals that you can't, inhale while you're pregnant. So,
What?
yeah.
So what do you mean by that?
No, it's just that, mom told me that, there's a lot of, like, really strong
In the spray, in the hairspray.
no, like paints.
Okay.
You know, the paints. You know, have a lot of fumes.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you're in beauty school,
Yeah,
you
and
have
you
all
have
that stuff.
yeah all that stuff, and you can't inhale it while you're pregnant.
So,
You know, it's kind of poisonous.
so she dropped out of beauty school. because
Yeah,
of that.
and then she had me, and then so I guess it took from there, and then I think when she I'm gonna give this the whole right thing, but
We got time.
oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
Um,
You're good.
yeah, she said to me that after God, I have to get this memory right. She hates me
I might
if
be
I
able
get
to help
screwed
you.
up.
I was around.
Yeah, but while Chad was, doing his adolescence stage, um, uh, there was some sibling rivalry, in there too, in the mix. Because he at first he wanted everybody to pay attention to him, but everybody said, this new baby coming along, it's kind of hard to have,
Chad,
have that shift.
is this true?
Interesting. Yeah, I can speak to it a little bit because
Yeah.
actually I'm writing about some of it for the next memoir, right?
Yeah.
And I can provide some context for you because I probably remember things a little better because I was around. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the 80s, 71 through 81 was the first memoir, and then I'm working on something that's significantly different, which is going to be 81 through 91. So the next 10 years. And so, I mean, sort of big surprise for anybody who reads the first memoir. I ended up, experimenting on my own with illegal substances in the 80s at a pretty early age, like starting about 14, 15.
As
And
far as like mushrooms and LSD.
mostly LSD, marijuana, and just a lot of drinking.
Okay.
Yeah. And so that sort of started prior to us moving in Marquette. But then, my mom had her own things sort of going on revolving around addiction. She had been sober for a long time.
Yeah. What kind of addiction?
Mostly back then alcoholism.
Okay.
And so it
Yeah.
didn't work out. She sort of relapsed and ended up in treatment. But when she was in treatment, they told her about some opportunities that were available to her where she could go back to college through this vocational rehab program and maybe start a new life. And so she decided to do that, and that's what actually, started my Marquette story. So when I was in 8th grade, she told me we had to move away from Iron County, and I wasn't really happy about that because I had just started
Yeah.
to establish some friendships.
Friends. Yeah.
Yeah, and so we came to Marquette. And for me, Marquette was huge, because there were like, nearly 1,000 people in the high school.
Yeah.
And there were like 100 people in the high school from
So
where
you
I came from.
So you
Yeah.
spent your high school years here in Marquette.
Yeah, 1984 I came, so 84 to 89. And so, during that time, both my mom and I think, were still growing a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
my mom was still relatively young.
Young.
She's early 30s.
Right.
Now, in college.
But off substances, not drinking. She was clean.
For a while. Yeah,
Okay.
for a while. She kind of, went back into things. Yeah. Kind of rather quickly because I think she just started having fun, She was
Right,
like
in
getting a lot of
Marquette.
she was getting a lot of attention at college too. She was a returning college student, so all these kind of younger students I think thought she was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I remember them coming to the house, and I kind of liked that too. That was kind of my introduction to like, college. It's like all these
Wow.
people coming
In the 80s at NMU?
yeah, totally.
In the 80s at NMU?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
I lived in married housing, yeah, with my mom. So we lived in the special housing, like if
Right.
you had kids or if you were married or something.
Lee Hall or so. What was it called?
Down near there, yeah.
Yeah. What was? Do
I'm
you
gonna
remember?
show Jasmine. I can't remember, but it's if if you're going
They
down
may have
that.
torn it down now.
No,
Spooner.
it's still there.
Spooner.
If you're going down past the high school,
Yeah.
and the high school's on your left,
Yeah.
and you're on that road, and you keep going, you come to the bottom
On
of the hill.
Lincoln.
To the left,
Yes.
there's that block of housing.
Oh my
that's on there.
gosh.
That's
Those
where I lived.
apartments. The
Yeah.
apartments right by the lacrosse fields,
Yeah,
by the
yeah,
football fields.
So that, and when Jasmine was born, that's where we brought her home to. So what happened? So Jasmine and I
Those
have
little houses, those little apartments.
yeah,
Yeah.
we lived there.
I'm trying to. You don't remember the name of the apartments? I totally.
I just remember it as married housing, but you're
Right.
right. They had each block had its own little
Yeah.
name.
Yeah.
But this was the one
This is crazy.
almost
They
all the
just
way.
tore the Gant Hall. You remember Gant Hall
Yeah.
right across the street? They just
Yeah.
tore it down.
Yeah.
So we're gonna drive by there, and I'm gonna show Jasmine.
Yeah.
But Jasmine, let me just get you up to where you came into play.
Right.
Yeah.
So-
Okay.
That's a wonderful story about mom, like in beauty school and
Yeah.
being worried.
Yeah. But doing
But that is something pretty fantastic. So my mom just was taking gen ed courses, sociology,
Yeah.
stuff like that. Wasn't going to beauty school. But we should perpetuate that because that's a better story. But anyways,
but she was a beauty.
but she did go to a club, and met, a handsome man who
Yeah.
was different, obviously, than my father,
Well,
who was
duh.
also another handsome man
duh.
that she met. My mom met many handsome men in her life,
Sure.
Yeah.
and two of them resulted in kids. And so it was a bit of a surprise because she had some issues with her health, and she didn't know that she could actually get pregnant.
Okay.
Yeah.
She thought that she couldn't anymore, and then she did.
What was she dealing with?
What's that?
What was she dealing with?
You mean as far as like health-wise?
Yeah.
She had cervical cancer
Okay.
thing, and it was all removed and stuff like that, but because of it, she thought that maybe
She couldn't
it
get
had made
pregnant.
her sterile, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And so, but that wasn't the case.
No.
And so she had
Obviously not.
Yeah.
No. Like
So
she,
Jasmine came into place, and when Jasmine, you were born into sort of a chaotic moment in my life, because that's when I was really
Yeah.
experimenting with
Yeah. With
stuff.
substance. Yeah. I know that part. Yeah.
substances, yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
so I felt like if my mom was gonna have you, that she was just gonna
forget about
know that she would drop out of college and that she wouldn't do anything with her life and blah blah blah.
You were in ninth grade.
Yeah, 10th grade then.
10th
I was
grade
about
then.
in 10th grade, I think. Yeah, 10th grade.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
she always says that that I was the miracle baby in her life, and
It was
I
pretty
believe
special.
That.
Yeah.
Yeah, because a part of this.
Do you know why she says that?
Yeah, because I had I had Down syndrome. I think that was the part of the miracle.
And what was the other miracle though? Because that was pretty special. But do you remember who was in her life at that time?
Yeah, it was me.
I mean, like, who were her friends then?
Her friends.
Who was her best friend?
Patty Ann.
Well, then it was Marilyn.
Yeah,
Marilyn
yeah,
Friend.
Marilyn Friend. Yeah,
And what did Marilyn Friend do for a living?
she was a school teacher.
What kind of a school teacher?
I don't know,
She
but
was a special ed teacher.
yeah, special ed. Yeah.
And then Greg
Special
was in your life, and Greg was kind of like my father figure and had been a long time
Yeah.
friend of the
So
family.
set this up for me one more time.
Yeah.
Your mom. How was your father in your mom's life, or how was the school teacher involved with your mother?
Yeah.
Well, I will say this, but Marilyn Friend, who was my mom's best friend for years.
The special education teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As
She
you
just
were
happened
coming
to
into
be-
the picture,
Yeah. So
as you
Yeah.
were being born,
Yeah, I was
her
being
best
born.
friend
Yeah.
was
just happened to
teaching
be a special ed.
Yeah, special ed,
Okay.
and then she got married to a guy named Dan Friend, Marilyn.
Yes.
She's
Yeah.
already married to him. Yeah, you don't have to go into her story, but it's
No.
just the interesting part is that here's this special little girl that's you
Yeah.
born into this situation where, number one, my mom never did many different jobs in her life, but the jobs that she did and she did well were when she worked in group homes
Yeah.
for
For
special
underprivileged
needs
kids.
people, right?
Yeah.
And so she was already equipped with those tools to take care of a special needs person. Her best friend, master's degree in special ed and special ed teacher, right?
Yes.
Her
Marilyn.
old lover and now good friend and my sort of adopted father,
Greg, yeah.
special ed teacher, right?
Wait.
Yeah.
And so
Your father?
my father,
No.
yeah.
Her
Your
fa-
father.
It's
Yeah,
funny that this
father.
confuses you because
Yeah.
it's really
I know
it's pretty
I'm
rambling.
sorry.
So my biological father is part of a different story. I met him
Right.
much later in life.
Yeah.
I had a father figure,
Okay.
and I still do,
Okay.
named Greg Banks.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he adopted me in his own way
Yeah.
as his
He's-
son.
Okay.
And
He's the biological father of Jasmine.
No,
No.
Not at all. Okay.
not at all.
No, my real father
Got it.
is black, and he was a football player in high school.
Yeah. And that was just kind of a romantic tryst,
Wow.
you know?
Yeah.
Because my
I
mom
understand.
just
Like a
didn't know,
fling.
you know, yeah.
Right.
She was just having fun.
Miracle
yeah.
baby.
Miracle baby,
Miracle
yeah. So
Jasmine.
Jasmine's
Here.
born, exactly. So she's born into this situation, really, where everybody is completely equipped to handle her in anything special that she needed.
What are the odds?
Yeah,
What are the odds
Yeah.
kind of thing?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Where if you were gonna come from anyone, it was gonna be your mom.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because she had like an Well, here's a funny story. When she was in the hospital, and this is definitely a true story. When she was in delivery room, my aunt Faye. Well, I don't want to say her name, but my aunts came in and with these blue balloons, and she thought it was supposed to be a boy. But clearly, I was not a boy.
Clearly.
Yeah, early
Yes.
on, yeah. And so when I finally came out, my mom was about to name me Layla after the song from Eric Clapton. And my mom said, and Ty didn't like that idea. So my mom said, well, how about you name your sister? And he said, okay. And Ty said this, if I ever had a daughter, I would name her Jasmine. And that sticked because there's like really like named like like restaurants and rice and tea. There's a song.
Jasmine, the restaurant, the Asian restaurant.
Yeah, there's like a restaurant that has
Yes.
like Jasmine something on
you
it.
been there?
I
logo.
really like that restaurant.
Have you been
so
there?
I was like, I'm
It's
gonna name my
pretty-
sister after that restaurant.
It's pretty
Yeah,
authentic,
but
you know.
but mostly that took me back when my favorite movie
Yeah.
from Aladdin.
Yes.
Yes, and her
Yes.
name was Princess Jasmine.
Yes.
Yeah, and I felt like that, that was me,
Right.
So that nickname sticks, Princess
Yeah.
Jasmine. So.
I knew that was going to happen. I could see into the future that
Well,
there
no,
would be
no.
like
No, you
this
didn't, no.
fantastic character named Jasmine.
Yeah, there's a character named Jasmine, but had the same name.
Yeah.
But her first part was the word princess, because I always loved the word
Oh
princess.
my gosh, I'm starting to see all this come
So
together.
but she knows
Yeah.
the real reason why I named her Jasmine because it was from a line from a song, and I heard you say it the other day. So what was that?
Yeah, it's summer breeze, make me feel fine. There's a jasmine in my
Flowing through the
mind.
jasmine in my mind. Yeah, Seals and
Yes.
Crofts song from
Yeah,
the 70s. Yeah.
Yeah.
Summer breeze.
yeah, summer breeze.
And
yeah.
so I always like that. And and jasmine is a type of flower and it smells really nice. And
yeah,
you were like a little flower.
Oh,
So
yeah,
I thought,
but very delicate.
Jasmine. Yeah.
very
Yeah.
delicate.
Delicate, but
Yeah.
delicate
I can
and fragile.
see. I can see where.
'cause-
Did you watch Aladdin? Did you?
Oh, yes.
Do you love that movie?
Yes, I love that movie. I have that. Well, I don't have the
Did
movie.
you draw inspiration from that for your plays?
Yeah, some
To
of it.
stay
Yes.
true to yourself, no matter
Yes.
what you have, no matter the riches, the lust, the gold that you
Yeah.
have. Stay true to yourself.
Yeah.
Aladdin's a great story.
Yes, it is. It's so magical, and the way that it was like the lighting and the shooting was so very dynamic. I loved it. It was really good.
Well, just the one that just came out. You're talking about?
The original was really
Yes.
good.
The cartoon
Yes,
and the new one.
cartoon and the series of it as well. That series about it as the cartoon, but the one who I liked was the best was the genie.
Will Smith.
Well, in the original.
Robbie
The original.
Williams.
Yeah, the original was with Robin Williams,
Yeah.
the late Robin Williams, and I thought, wow, he was so funny. The way he made me laugh, it was great.
Yeah.
But then I saw the previews of the new Aladdin. They had the same dynamic, the same portions of it, but they kind of shifted over to the other side. That instead of in Agrabah, they kind of switched it to a different side of it. And I didn't like it as much, but I do like Will Smith.
Yeah.
He's really good as a
It's
genie,
a great
but
story,
yeah,
nonetheless, and a
yeah,
great lesson.
yeah. And also, I didn't feel the comedic side of Will Smith
Yeah.
cause it's
Where's the
not.
Fresh Prince at? That's what I was looking for. Where's the Fresh Prince?
Yeah, it's not the same without Robin Williams.
Yeah.
You can't replace Robin
He didn't
Williams.
do the Carlton dance, not once.
Oh God, no, not once. If somebody told him to.
So, Chad,
Yeah.
soon after, did you run off? Did you start traveling after a little bit of time, or
Yeah,
what?
a little bit. So one of the things I'm hoping that makes my story interesting, and one of the things that I want to explore, because it's unique, and I don't know, it just sort of happened and fantastic. But I ended up in adolescent treatment, which isn't that unique.
As far as like substances for
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah,
drinking
yeah.
and things like
Right,
that?
right, right. Because everybody was going at the time, so I was like, okay, my turn. It
Yep.
just seemed like every week somebody else from high school going to adolescent treatment, or we'd
In
see them
Marquette.
in Marquette.
Huh.
Yeah, it was at the. It used to be at the hospital, right at
Fair.
exactly on Fair there. Yeah, yeah. And so it was different for me. It ended up being different. I was there 42 days, and they were just the right people at the right time, and they gave me the right sort of messages, and I got out, and I was working a program, and I continued to go to meetings and followed the 12 steps and went to my aftercare. And I just realized that if I wanted to be the person that I wanted to be moving forward, that I wasn't going to be able to use that stuff, right? I wasn't, the trajectory would have been the same as a lot of other people in my family. And I just
Sure.
wanted to kind of break that and do something different.
Break
And
clean.
so, yeah, yeah. And so I did. And I've, now been sober a really long time. Over 30 years. I haven't done anything at all. And
Like
so,
completely
completely
pure.
sober. Yeah, no. Well, I wouldn't say cured.
pure.
Oh, pure. I thought you said completely cured. I'd be like,
No
yeah,
way, no.
hallelujah. Yeah. I mean, caffeine, and I had some bouts with, nicotine, but yeah, no marijuana, no alcohol, no LSD, nothing like that.
So
Yeah.
you were heavily involved as a teen. Do you think
Mhm.
that shaped you at all?
Which part? This being
The
heavily.
substances. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and
In
and
what?
I would actually say that I am not regretful that I did them at all,
Right.
at
So
all.
yeah, in what ways do you think they shape? Because I feel like if anybody can kind of put it into words,
Hmm.
you might be able to shed some light on that.
Yeah. Well, it's almost as if I felt like they helped accentuate kind of my decline in some ways. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, I was, maybe it helped me reach a bottom faster, and so I could work on sort of recovery.
Yeah.
I mean, at the same time, initially, they were a lot of fun, and, you know, s- they do lower your inhibitions, and they get you to a place where you maybe feel a little bit more comfortable, talking with girls and stuff like that. And it's a great way to sort of be social, and everybody, gathers around a bong and all of that stuff. And I
Yeah.
have really fond memories of some of that stuff. And even, some like doing LSD.
Right.
But the reality is it wasn't necessarily about the good times with that. It was about why I was doing it, what I was sort of trying to cover up, how I was using those substances in some ways to self-medicate psychologically for some of the things that I'd never dealt with in the
The
past.
root cause.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I
And
think some of it was just biological too. Like, I think that there's a little bit of both, a lot of
hurtful
maybe why
feelings.
people use is situational because of things that they've experienced and such. But then some people just genetically, like, they're going to have problems with addiction.
Right.
And so I think I had it coming at me from all
All
different angles.
angles.
Yeah, all angles.
Right.
Yeah, kind
And
of like
so
mixed.
it was best for me to just not do
It
it.
was for the
Yeah.
better. That catalyst came early, it sounds like.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's a
Yeah.
beautiful thing. Do you think it also, looking back on it, kind of accentuated some of your creativity and accentuated some of the ways that you look at the world, like your perspective.
It's possible, especially, people talk about LSD now, and it's back in the news. People are
Yeah.
using it to
P-
microdose
yeah.
and stuff and deal with anxiety.
Deal with PTSD and things like that. There's
I'm
more
all
studies.
for it. I can see where it could do that, And so for me, I guess some of the ways that it made me feel this sort of heightened sense of creativity and stuff, that was there. And I'm glad that I felt those things, because now I feel that I can still achieve those, but through natural means. I also practice a pretty healthy lifestyle now, and I do like intense mountain biking. I've done a lot of trail running. I've done like some intense yoga and stuff. And I can find that actually I can get to those places.
The same places
Same
on a
places.
conscious level.
Same places
Bring
on a
your
conscious
bring
level.
your conscious to a higher aspect
Yeah.
of reality.
Yeah.
Through natural means.
Yeah, or through breathing, right? Have you ever done like a really intense breath workshop?
Not a workshop, but I've done
Oh,
some breath work,
yeah,
some intense
yeah.
breath work,
Yeah.
and getting yourself to breathlessness.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
right. So all of those things I feel like kind of bring me to those places that I was trying to
So you
get to.
experience those places with an artificial chemical, and then
Yeah.
you find that without it, it's more sacred. Do you
For sure.
It's more
Absolutely.
sacred and it's more powerful.
100%.
So
I mean, what's more powerful? Like sitting in a closet, stoned out of your mind on acid and kind of seeing stuff, or being on the top of a mountain in New Zealand, like
Right.
doing breath work and looking
Right.
out over everything and
right.
feeling that all come over
And
you.
I'm sure some people
Yeah.
would argue that you can take LSD and go up on that same mountain and get
Yeah.
that effect, but
Yeah.
to a certain extent, it will turn off.
Yeah.
The
right.
chemicals will soon run out of your system.
And die. Is
Not
that
ever,
right?
not all. You don't always
Yeah.
die.
Yeah.
You not always die, but
No.
Yeah.
I'm saying that sometimes when you take too much LSD, your body shuts down, and then it'll consume you, and then the body takes over, and then you just kind of lying there helplessly.
I actually don't know about that. I don't know if
Yeah.
that's true.
Not so much with that drug. But anyways, the point is that the reality is that in both cases your body's on drugs, right?
Yes.
Just in one case
Yeah.
it's getting a little help because you have, this sort of outside
Sure.
thing coming in. But in the other way you're creating these drugs naturally
Right.
through breath and through whatever.
It takes some real concentration to create that.
Yeah.
Right, and it's not an easy learning curve either. I mean, like you say, you did many years. It sounds like of practice.
I think so, yeah. Yeah.
And was that a traveling practice? Did you feel like you needed to travel to make that happen, or did you find it here in Marquette? How did that work?
I wouldn't say I found it. Oof, that's a good question. I think traveling maybe made it easier just because
Yeah.
there's these other sort of exotic elements and things
Yeah.
like that, right? And so
Yeah.
you're getting all these other stimulus that you wouldn't get if you're in a comfortable place.
Yeah.
And so,
So what does traveling do for what we're talking about as far as like elevating that higher consciousness?
yeah, well, I think just that, like it gets me to think in ways that I wouldn't think otherwise, right? Because you're interacting with different cultures, with different ways of sort of living life, different landscapes, all of that stuff. And so you're reevaluating what you know and what you experience wherever you come from.
Right.
And being challenged sometimes too. Like I like to kind of challenge myself. Like it's like I'll just show up on a motorcycle and just drive off into wherever and have to, fend for myself.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that bad, but I mean, I'm putting myself inside of this culture where there's not many tourists or stuff,
Right.
and you just have to communicate with people, and sometimes on a really fundamental level because they don't speak your language or
Right.
whatever, and so you're doing sign languages and trying to figure out where to sleep and stuff.
Yes. You're putting yourself out into the world
Yeah,
and seeing how you handle it.
Yeah.
It's putting you in a place where there's potential to have your predispositioned ideas
Yeah, you
counteracted.
get exactly. I mean, the sort of
That's the
generic
challenge,
thing
right?
would be, you're putting yourself out of your comfort zone intentionally.
Intentionally, right? You didn't go the
Yeah.
route with the picket fence and the dog in the
Yeah.
backyard and the wife and two kids in a
Right.
suburb. your neighborhood.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
is far from it. I don't know. There's this essence about you that I kind of feel that you've seen a lot more than that, right? A lot more
Yeah.
than just a backyard, and you've kind of
Yeah.
chosen a different path.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Probably.
where did you go?
In the world?
Yeah.
Ooh, lots of places. I
Yeah.
think I counted the other day on the motorcycle, 39 countries. But around Central America, a couple places in South America, all over Southeast Asia, probably every country in Europe, for sure. New Zealand, Australia, Bali, and
And also Jamaica.
Jamaica,
Right.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
I had never really
I
explored the
think
Caribbean much, so recently I went to Dominican
right.
Republic a couple
I
times,
think
went to Jamaica, Cuba.
yeah.
Yeah.
So a big question in a lot of people's minds when they hear that is that safe, Chad? You've done it. Is it safe to do?
It depends on how you do it. Yeah.
Right. So what
Yeah.
like how do you put parameters on something like when you go to that many countries? How do you like you say fend for yourself? Like is there you have to
Huh.
do it almost to learn the
Yeah.
tricks of the trade.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it's pretty fundamental easy. Well, number one, stay healthy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like really just like being fit and being
Yeah.
conscious of what you're eating and
Yeah.
stuff, just even a little bit, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Just try to eat healthy, keep your immune system
Yeah.
up, keep your energy level high.
Yeah.
You're gonna
Yeah.
make it.
Next.
Now, I say that I just got back from Thailand and I got a bad bacterial infection and had to take antibiotics, you know?
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
And it was really frustrating because it really just knocked me out, you know?
Right.
And I know it was from just something in Thailand,
Right.
Yeah.
something in the water or something.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
that and also he did up in Crystal Falls he did that when your bath off, and he did not know he was sick
Well, I
and
was frustrated.
Yeah, and
I'm a
frustrated
little
on that.
competitive. Yeah, I do this run
a
your
little?
bass off every year
oh come
in
on,
Crystal Falls.
Yeah.
come on, be honest, Chad. You are definitely competitive more. Trust me, I know.
You think so?
Yes, because every time we play a board game, you get all defensive. He
You must be
does.
my sister.
He must be.
Well, I speak the truth, and he does.
I speak the truth.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, he does because he always gets competitive, and he whines at the end when I try to win. Every time I win, he says, "You cheated, you cheated." I'm like, no, that's not true.
Sometimes I'm teasing you. You don't think I've matured over the years? Or even with like all my schooling and being a professor, I'm just still like at the end of
Well-
the day, I'm like, you cheated.
No,
Yeah.
not as a professor, no. But when you play a game, you get kind of wimpy.
Oh, gotcha. So I regress kind of
Yes.
back into this childhood thing.
Yeah, and same thing with me,
Yeah.
but different. I'm very competitive too, but I don't take it way up a notch.
Right.
Gotcha.
Because when I play a game, I get really caught up of the attention.
Yeah.
And
Well,
then I
that's-
want to do better than that other person.
Right. Well, that's the purpose of the game, right?
Yeah.
That's why we play games is to compete with one another. It's a
Yeah, and
it's a
have fun.
challenge to overcome
Yeah, also have fun with it.
against somebody else's will.
Yes, yeah, definitely, yeah.
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 So this question is burning. How do you make money when you're traveling like that?
Oh, you don't.
You don't.
It depends. When I lived in Spain, I taught English. When I was working on my PhD, I gave up my TA actually to go live in Spain for a year, and so I didn't have any income. So I needed something to just get by, and I taught English.
Okay.
And then when I was in New Zealand, I woofed. I'm a hard worker. And it's funny, I was on sabbatical from my university, so I still had money coming in, but at the same time, it's expensive to just be in a foreign country for a day.
Exactly.
And especially if you have to start paying for housing and stuff like that. And so, I was milking goats, I was trimming trees, I was shoveling horse manure, all this stuff while on sabbatical,
Were
and
you
I
happy?
loved it.
I was gonna say,
Totally
happy doing it.
Yeah.
Totally happy. Staying in fantastic places with 3 really good meals a day, and just 4 hours a day of work. So you work 4 hours a day, you got a place to stay, you got 3 meals, and you meet lots of cool people and hang
Yeah.
out with animals.
Yeah.
So I love that part.
Yeah, but but Chad, you forgot to mention that you did had a rodeo. Well, you did forgot to mention that you did had a radio show by at the university at Savannah State for a while, and then you gave that up
Yeah.
to do some schoolwork, and I think that's the real reason why he went to Thailand is to get away from from work, but also he had to do that sabbatical away from the radio show because he had me on his radio show because he does themes on his radio show. Like 1 week was about love, 1 week was about hotness week and something like that on his radio show.
What did you appear on?
I was on one with the hotness week that he was planning to do, and I told him about my relationships and the other one was when I was
I think it was just family. The theme was family.
yeah, the theme was the other one was family, but then I had the CD that he gave me was called Hotness Week.
A recording of
Yeah,
that
recording
show that
of that, so
appeared
yeah.
on.
And
So
he-
I
yeah.
didn't go on sabbatical to get away from my radio show. That wasn't entirely right.
Yeah.
And I make no money off of that show. That's just fun, independent radio.
Yeah,
Just like
it
I'm
was
sure
great.
Connor's probably not getting rich off of his podcast,
No.
Well,
but he
no.
really enjoys it.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Do you enjoy it, Jasmine?
Yes, I like it. It's really cool.
You enjoy being here?
Yeah. It's kind of great because I always wanted to dream to be on the radio and talk about some shows and on everything. Have serious questions about and yeah.
Yeah, you had some pretty heavy questions today.
Yeah. So yeah, because people say that wow, Jazz, you have a great radio voice, and so I thought maybe hey, if somebody else can do it, I can do it too.
So what makes you? It seems like you have that's a common theme. Like when you see somebody do something, you feel like you can do it and maybe do it better.
Yeah, some ways, yeah.
Where do you find that drive?
It's just kind of see the passion for the radio and it just speaks the truth and it kind of makes you feel like that you want to say more in your life. People always say that find your voice.
Find your own voice.
Yeah, and I have my own voice. That nobody can tell me what to do, tell me what to say, whatever it is. Just speak your mind, speak the truth.
I think that's a very, very strong concept. But how do you keep true to that?
You have to stick to your guns, and then also you have to face some more criticism, but you always have some mind in your life. So yeah.
What do you mean stick to your guns?
Like for instance, like stick to your guns. I think you have to be true to yourself and to the person who is sitting. It's like when I think stand up for yourself.
Yeah.
Have the principles that you have and admire and stick with that.
So morals.
Yeah, morals. Yeah.
Morals. And that's just it's beautiful looking at people may say that you can't do something because maybe you have Down syndrome. And do you ever take that to heart? Do you ever feel like you start to believe that?
Honestly, sometimes I do, but it's kind of also kind of puts me down at some levels because I know I can't produce. Well, I know like people say like not people, but like my mom always says that some people who can't have kids when you have that syndrome, but you can. But it's really hard on that. You're having two people, like have like two hearts. One from the mother, and the other heart is from the baby. It's way too much to handle. So I can't have that having a real child, but I could go off and saying like I could adopt a child, because it'd be much easier to adopt than having experienced childbirth.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
So you don't feel like you're limited. You don't feel limited at all. You feel like you can find different solutions
yeah,
to be exactly how you want to be, to express yourself in
yeah,
whatever ways that you feel right.
yeah, because it's kind of makes you feel like you can do anything that you put your mind to it, but there's some limits you have to take in for being a full-time parent. But I know you have to give up half of your life, and that's fine with that. Yeah, I know it's hard, to take, like feel like saying like I'm 16, I want to go out and party, hang out with friends. But on the other level of that, it's just that you have to focus on the child, and the child wants you there all the time, and to to help out with that child and take care of that. That other life you're responsible for having or adopting. It just makes you feel like you are grounded in some ways, but that can add to it of your lifestyle.
And you feel like that's possible for you.
Yeah,
That's beautiful.
thanks.
And do you feel like in some ways, criticism from the area that you live in Iron River in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan? Do you think this is a good place for something like that to happen, or would you feel like more accepted in another place?
Well, I do feel accepted in some ways in Iron River,
Yeah.
in some ways, but I'm always been close to my family and friends,
Right.
and some of my friends who, of course, is at the bar, but they do have expectations to that level.
Yeah.
But I do want to experience more expectations when I go to a different location, because I lived in Pure, Illinois for 16 years.
Right.
And I was familiar with that town, and everybody was in it, but I knew it was not a good place at the moment.
Yeah.
But
Can you share with me just a little bit about the magic of the UP and kind of what keeps you here? You say like the family, but the community.
yeah, um, well, see, it's just the good vibe, and the people here are nice and welcoming, and some of it is the aspects of it is so beautiful, and I'm and it's breathtaking, but sometimes it can be a very hard to challenge. But I learned to accept it, because that's part of who you are, and that's where you are. You put down roots of your family, and I have to say that to me is very great response. For I want before, like you said, with the white picket fence,
Yeah.
and having a dog, and having
Yeah.
some things, but
Yeah.
I want that without having being responsible for another life that I can consume it.
Sure. Sure. Where do you recognize those beautiful times with the community and people being friendly the most?
God, um, I don't know. It's just the
Like where do
way.
you see the good in people in the UP?
God, they bring you so much joy to the world, and they always want peace in the world. But
What
sometimes,
about how they come together and support you?
yeah, they always say they want the best for me, and trying to give me some good advice, and they want to take that advice and turn it into something more cheerful, and more, instead
Like
of
a
protecting me.
I can give you a
like a
specific
play?
example. Yeah. So you know it's happening right now, right? So
Yeah.
my Aunt Amy's art group,
Could be
right?
Yeah.
They have been working on props for Jasmine's play
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
past like week.
Past week. Yeah.
And they're literally doing it right now. They're
Yeah.
making flowers for her float because she's going to be in the rodeo parade
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
Saturday morning. right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And her posters are all over the community.
Yeah.
And her Zumba class that she did this morning
Yeah.
before coming here, is all behind her and is going to come and support her. And so I
Yeah.
feel like the community really rallies behind you.
Yeah.
Like anything that you want to do in that community, they're going to support you.
Yeah.
That's pretty, like,
Remarkable.
maybe
Yeah.
it's harder for you to notice because you're in it. But when you
Yeah.
live in a lot of other communities that don't do that, you realize how special it is that that community does that for you.
Yeah. And there's some hangouts that I go to in Iron River. Like, for instance, like I go to like restaurants and the food is good and everything. The service is really great,
Yeah.
but mostly I go out. There's two bars that I like to hang out. They're down in the community, and there's some friends that I know down there, and they kind of like
There's a warm sense to it.
yeah, warm sense to it. Yeah, like Chad said before, that community, comes into my come, kind of like Chad said before, like they're behind me 100%.
Yeah.
And the outer limits and up north, some people from there will back me up because they know that I'm special and they know who I am, and they don't care about my age, they don't care about what I'm doing.
Your size, your skills, it doesn't
Yeah,
matter. You
no.
deserve respect.
Yes.
Just like everybody else.
Yeah, like every woman should be having right now. So yeah, because I don't want to say about the guys, but let's just say the guys are pretty perfect and pretty built, but they can be a little challenging.
I can see that.
Yeah.
So this event that you got coming up, I just want to rehash over that. Tell people like how they can learn more. And Chad, you can chime in on anything you think people should know and how to get in contact with your purpose and your direction, and then how they can find your book as well.
Sure. I'll talk about the play, Jasmine, just because I know a little bit about how they can become more interested. So we set up a Facebook page.
Yeah.
And so just in general, for not only this season, but for future seasons and past seasons, we've created, it's called the Double Life.
Double Life, yeah.
So if you just search like probably Jasmine Faries, the Double Life on Facebook, you'll find that Facebook page.
Yeah.
And you can see images from past performances and stuff like that. And we
Yeah.
hope to be updating that with new materials, like we can put a link to this podcast on there and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then also as the documentary progresses, we might be able to do updates there
Very
with that
cool.
as well. And the play itself, July 21st,
On a Sunday.
so I'm not sure when this is going to air, but so little snippets of that we can probably put available on Facebook as well for people who can't make it. But it is this Sunday. It's rodeo weekend in the UP in Iron River, so it's a big deal. And so Saturday night at the rodeo, we hope to get somebody to do a little PSA about the play, and then everybody will come on out on Sunday.
In this documentary, what's the premise of the documentary?
Right now, we are just honestly doing a lot of like
Capturing?
shooting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the idea that we had when I talked to Pat is I was like, the story's kind of threefold. I mean, it's not only a story of the magic of Jasmine, it's a story of the community, and it's also kind of a portrait of the UP in some ways, in Iron County and its whole past. And so you've got all of the color of all of those things coming together.
Yeah.
The narrative, who knows? Because Jasmine just comes out with these zingers every day that are fantastic.
Like the cupcakes and all that.
Yeah.
That is all new
All
to
brand
me.
new.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Like that.
I can't wait to eat those cupcakes.
Well, one day when you come in, I'll have my assistant who I'll have like a half. This is gonna be real cool, but I'm gonna do one. It's gonna be a salon, and the other half's gonna be the cupcake side.
All right, super.
So after you're done with your massage, you can get a little treat.
Perfect.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So, Anything else? You're famous today. You know, you got 2 other interviews to do.
Sure.
Yeah, I know. But I think this one would be kind of cool because, I can, do this podcast and
Yeah.
I know how this works, but it'd be kind of cool to do another podcast like this again
Yeah.
next time if we come back up here again.
Right, because we have time to talk, and it's long form media, and
Yeah.
it's really special to share conversation. So,
Yeah.
that being said, I really thank you for being here, both you guys. And
That's great.
I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Until next time, guys,
Yeah.
ride the waves, dude.